Hello and good day to everyone. I want to make an observation about the state of affairs here in the United States with respect to history. And I want to offer that there is nothing new. A lot of things that people call new or simply recycled things, especially when they're wicked and when they're evil. It's just rolled back around. Or as the writer of the book, Ecclesiastes says in the Hebrew Bible, in hadash tahat hashemesh. There is nothing new under the sun. Here's the observation. Yesterday's papal bull is today's executive order. Yesterday's papal bull is today's executive order. Papal bulls, remember those things, nerds of history, fellow nerds of history. Fact, that's not so fun. A long time ago in the year 1452, Pope Nicholas V, also known as the Jackass, issued a papal bull in Latin known as Dum Diversas, which means while different or although different. To play on the word Dum Diversas, the papal bull did spell doom primarily for the inhabitants of the west coast of Africa, eventually, follow me, or stay with me rather, Native Americans, and on into the day today. This papal bull was issued to King Alfonso V, another jackass, the King of Portugal, and it gave him and the bearers of this piece of paper the authority to go into the African continent, search out all Saracens, i.e. Muslims, pagans, anyone who did not accept the wicked Roman religion, and to, quote, go into and quote, to search out all of the enemies of our God and Savior, Jesus Christ, and reduce their persons into a perpetual state of servitude. What was the primary purpose of this papal bull? Shock and awe, ultimate humiliation, degradation, dehumanization. It gave the bearers, the ones who carried out the bull, the power to take people's lands, humiliate, dehumanize, destroy, and even snuff out their lives, even kill them. Now, it's widely agreed that this papal bull set the foundation, or laid the foundation for the bulls that would come, the bulls that would come later on. And it would establish the, quote, doctrine of discovery, i.e. manifest destiny. It makes me think pop culture about the French doctor, explorer, Belak Baloche, in Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Every time the hero of the film, Dr. Jones, would get an artifact, Belak would show up out of nowhere and say, Dr. Jones, as we can see, what was once yours is now mine. And he would take it. You know, manifest destiny, Trail of Tears, the Native Americans, X, Y, and Z. Compare that to today's executive order signed by Dope Don the 47th at 1600 Pennsylvania in Washington, D.C. in 2025. Let's see. At the stroke of a pen, you can strip millions of Americans of health care. At the stroke of a pen, you can take away lunch for children whose family can't afford it. You can take away meals from elderly and sickly Americans who have congestive heart failure, renal failure, and they otherwise can't afford the meals that will keep them alive. And you can take that away. Because, again, after all, it's wasteful spending, right? We have to pull the purse strings and tighten them up. Executive orders where you can just snatch people off of the street without question, even when they're screaming, I'm an American citizen, here is my birth certificate, we don't care, and lock you away without due process, which is something that's supposed to be afforded to us by way of another piece of paper known as the Constitution. Yeah, and just take these people away, split families apart. These policies are killing people. These policies are killing people. It's causing them to lose their lives, their livelihoods, their possessions, and it's ultimately killing Americans. You know, again, it's funny. We talk the smack about being a Christian country based on Judeo-Christian values. But we're actually being led by people who like to window dress. You know, it's all about performance. For all of the things that they have to say about everyone else, it's about performance. You know, they are behind people who have the "not of this world" bumper stickers on the back of their cars. They cheer that on. They are behind people who want to randomly yell out, "Christ is King." To them, this is Christianity, American evangelical Christianity, and this is by and large what it is. If you think about some of the things that I've mentioned here that are affecting Americans by way of signing an executive order, and you think about the fact that a good portion, 73+ million people, as the author W.E.B. Du Bois put it, to paraphrase him, these people voted, a lot of them voted for a perceived heightened social status at the cost of sacrificing for their own selves better roads, running water, disaster relief, better education, food, their farms. You know, I don't think it could be said or put any better. Even the quote that's attributed to Lyndon Johnson, where it says, you know, if you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the most successful black man, you can pick his pocket all day long, all day long. At the end of the day, everybody, look at the comparisons between the people who issued and carried out papal bulls back in the day versus the one who is signing executive orders that are being carried out by his obsequious minions and sycophants. And you look, what are the things that are undeniable that are in common? Number one, you have a group of people who believe that by virtue of their aesthetic appearance, whatever you want to call it, zero melanin or whatever, that they are superior. That's number one. Number two, they believe that they have a divine mandate from God. And number three, by way of that divine mandate, they have the authority to go after their perceived enemies of God and to destroy them in his name. And that is exactly what is happening today. You know, shout out to the dirtbag organization of the Heritage Foundation, the scum bottom-feeding group known as the Religious Right. And you look at the work that they've put in, as I've mentioned in previous videos, over the years, 40 years or so in the making to lay this foundation to have this day. And it's where we are. The craziest of the most religious lunatics are in charge of this country, and then we're in a lot of trouble. Now, this is coming from an individual who does believe in the teachings of the man that history called Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, he says that his words are not his words at all, but they are the words of his God and the one who sent him. And I want to end this video basically with a turn on one of his parables, For the MAGAite and for those who clap and cheer at the demise of other people, the horror, the shock of being, you know, humiliated in public and ridiculed and jailed and even killed because of the actions of this administration. The parable, you'll recognize it, but I'm going to put a turn on it. When the MAGAites stand in front of the reigning Messiah and the judge of the earth, before he expels them, he'll say, well, when I was at least remotely satisfied, you signed paperwork that took away my food to make sure that I was hungry. When I was free and had some movement, you signed paperwork that snatched me off of the street and locked me away without due process. And while in that detention center, I came in fairly hydrated, but you made sure that you deprived me of water so that I was thirsty. When I was remotely healthy, you signed paperwork that snatched away my health insurance, and you ensured that I would die in the hallway of a county hospital. When did we do these things to you, Lord? Well, when you did them to the least, when you did these things to the least of these, you did it to me. And there you have it. People who claim to believe in Christ, oh, you believe he existed, but you don't believe a word. You never believed a word that he said. They're pushing for the 10 Commandments to be placed on the walls in schools. They're pushing for a lot of this madness. And let me just, again, be honest here. More people have been done harm inside the walls and under the roofs of religious schools and places with 10 Commandments and everything else on the wall. Dead white man on the crucifix and the whole nine. Men have been broken. I can't even say the word here, again, on this platform. Certain words that you can't say. So I have to say things like S-aid or R-worded or whatever, which is kind of odd because by censoring someone and torpedoing their video and not putting it out there because they use certain words, is that like protection for the atrocity that we're talking about? But that's a completely different topic. But it is concerning that that is the case. More people have been harmed in an environment like this. It's created broken men and broken women, and it's been an atrocity, an absolute atrocity. By and large, that's it. Again, just an observation that, again, there's nothing new under the sun, and the same characteristics, the same circumstance. It's just a different time frame that we're living in now. It's reoccurring, and it has the same shock, awe, and devastation. It was used to lay the platform for destruction of the Native Americans and the stealing of their land. It set up the sub-Saharan or the transatlantic slave trade, through the door open for that. It's just wickedness and evil wrapped up in the guise of religion. Okay, but at any rate, that's just my 2 cents. That's my observation. And as always, resist in whatever form that or shape that takes. Resist and be ready to fight. Be ready to push back. One thing you can do is you can get out there in the midterms and you can vote, and you can at least defang this snake, at least defang him, and make him limp as he slithers toward the finish line. There are real and true believers in God. There are true believers who do follow the teachings of Christ. Please pay it forward. Be kind to your fellow man. Be kind to the person who doesn't speak the same language as you and who doesn't look like you. Let's lock arms, knuckle up, and let's get ready to fight.